The silence that fell over Kingsley's, Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant, was so thick it seemed to have weight. Conversation ceased, cutlery froze, and dozens of eyes fixed on the small space between tables. There, 10-year-old Lucas Montgomery, his legs trapped in metal braces, wavered as he reached out a trembling hand to Diana Johnson, the restaurant's only black waitress. The live piano had just begun a soft melody, and the boy's innocent impulse to ask someone, anyone, to dance came without warning, a silent plea in a room that valued decorum above all else. "Sir, control your son," Manager Thornton's sharp voice cut through the charged air. "That's inappropriate. Our employees are not here to entertain children." Richard Montgomery, owner of Montgomery Investments and one of the country's richest men, swallowed hard. It was Lucas's first dinner out since the accident that had partially paralyzed his legs 2 years earlier. "Lucas, sit down," the order came, low but firm. Diana remained motionless, her gaze shifting between the furious manager, the billionaire, and the boy whose hand still hung in the air. In her 5 years there, she'd learned to be invisible, but tonight, something shifted. "Mr. Thornton, I'm leaving. My shift is over." Her voice was calm as she removed her apron. Then, to everyone's amazement, she smiled at Lucas and took his hand. "I can't dance in an apron." Richard stood abruptly. "What do you think you're doing?" Diana held his gaze. "I'm accepting an invitation, sir." Before anyone could interfere, Lucas took a hesitant step, his foot dragging, the metal of his braces screeching. But Diana didn't hurry him. She simply adjusted her pace to his. Fear in the boy's eyes gave way to concentration, shame to shy pride. For the first time since the accident, he wasn't being guided or corrected. He was leading. The manager sputtered, "Mr. Montgomery, I assure you she will be disciplined." Richard didn't respond. After 3 small, courageous steps, Diana led Lucas back. "Thank you for asking me out," she said formally to the boy. "It was an honor." As she turned to leave, Richard stopped her. "Wait, your full name?" "Diana Johnson, sir." He nodded, then took out a card. "My office. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. The lobby of Montgomery Tower sparkled. Diana, in her best navy skirt and white blouse, felt out of place. "Diana Johnson to see Mr. Montgomery," she told the receptionist. Upstairs, Miss Winters, a sharp woman, eyed her. "Mr. Montgomery is in a call." She led Diana through opulent hallways. "He had you fired, didn't he?" Winters probed. "People like you who don't know their place." Diana smiled faintly. "And where exactly would that be?" Richard Montgomery's office overlooked Manhattan. "Miss Johnson," he began, all controlled power. "Do you have a background? Education?" "Bachelor's degree in child development, NYU," Diana stated. "Incomplete master's in special education." Surprise flickered on Richard's face. "And you work as a waitress?" 3 jobs, actually. The restaurant, a bookstore, and tutoring. Richard picked up a folder. "I did some research. Freedom Steps. You co-founded it. A dance program for children with physical disabilities. Now about to close due to lack of funding." Diana showed no surprise. "I didn't come to ask for money." "Then why did you come?" "Because you invited me." He paced. "I want you to work for me. As a therapeutic companion for Lucas. I have the best specialists. But what you did yesterday..." It was the first time I've seen him smile like that since the accident. "It was just a dance, Mr. Montgomery. I want someone who can do what you did. Follow, not lead. I can pay you 5 times what you're making." Diana stood. "No." Richard was visibly shocked. "I don't work for people who see only my color or social." "Class before my competence," she said calmly. "And I don't work for people who try to buy solutions to emotional problems. Your son deserves more than someone hired to pretend to care." She paused at the door. "Lucas doesn't need more experts. He needs space to lead his own life." She placed a simple card on his desk. Freedom Steps, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. The first class is free. The following Wednesday, a Bentley parked outside the old community warehouse housing Freedom Steps. Lucas was in the back, Richard at the wheel, wrestling with himself. Finally, Lucas got out, then Richard, looking awkward in his attempt at casual wear. Handmade posters adorned the walls. Your rhythm, your rules. Children with various mobility devices moved freely. "Mr. Montgomery, welcome," Diana greeted him. Lucas watched, awestruck. "It looks chaotic," Richard commented. "There's structure," Diana replied, "just not one you recognize. Would Lucas like to join?" The boy nodded, looking at his father. "Go on," Richard said. As Lucas joined the group, an older woman with an ornate cane, Dr. Elaine Mercer, a retired Harvard neuroscientist, approached Richard. "Mr. Montgomery, you've rejected my research proposal 3 times. Dr. Mercer, here. I oversee the research. We are studying how non-directive movement affects neural reconfiguration." "Research?" Richard frowned. "I thought this was a dance class," Diana returned. "Freedom Steps is a pilot motor rehabilitation program. We integrate adaptive dance with neuroscientific principles." "Why work as a waitress if you lead research?" Richard asked. "Because we lack funding." "Because people like you rejected us," Diana said, then clarified. "You were Dr. Mercer's co-author on those proposals, weren't you?" Dr. Mercer corrected. "Diana's theoretical work is groundbreaking." "You knew who I was at the restaurant," Richard concluded. "Yes, and when Lucas got up, I recognized an opportunity to show, not tell." Just then, reporters entered. Richard tensed. "What's this?" Zoe, Diana's sister, showed Richard an online article. "Revolutionary motor rehabilitation methodology shows promising results." "We published our first results today," Dr. Mercer explained. "You used my son for a PR stunt," Richard accused, his voice ice. Diana led him to a side room. Photos of children, each with progress stats, lined the walls. An empty frame hung at the end. "Our future," Diana said. "The full center we could build. 500 children a year." "You orchestrated all this?" "I saw an opportunity when you cancelled our meeting 4 months ago." "Diana!" Zoe cried from the main room. "It's Lucas!" They rushed back. Lucas was in the center, surrounded. The music was off. He'd removed one brace and was trying to balance. "Lucas!" Richard started forward. Diana stopped him. "Wait, watch." Lucas focused then, to everyone's amazement, especially his father's. He took a complete step without full support. Small, shaky, but entirely his. Children cheered. Camera flashes went off. Richard's composed face was raw with unshed tears. "That's why we created Freedom Steps," Diana said softly. "It's not about perfect steps. It's about first steps, on your own." The reporters noticed Richard. He was cornered. Withdraw in anger or embrace his son's triumph. "Mr. Montgomery," a reporter began, "is it true your foundation rejected funding this program 3 times? Richard looked at Lucas, then smiled, a rare, genuine expression. "You know what's hardest for someone in my position? Admitting when we're wrong." A stunned silence. The Montgomery Foundation is pleased to announce a commitment to fully fund Freedom Steps for the next 5 years and build a permanent rehabilitation center. On one condition, Ms. Johnson retains complete autonomy. Months later, bulldozers cleared ground for the new center. Richard became a regular, silent observer, even attending board meetings, studying neuroplasticity. "Lucas asked to have his second brace removed last week," he told Diana one day. "His old therapist said it was impossible for 2 more years." "But you fired her," Diana reminded him gently. "Because I told you she was wrong." And she was, he conceded. At the opening ceremony, the new space buzzed with children. Lucas, now with only a lightweight leg brace, led a small routine, his confidence shining. Richard watched from a distance. He doesn't need you to hold him anymore, Diana said quietly. No, Richard agreed, but he still needs me to be around. Crucial difference. He turned to her. Thank you for teaching me to follow. A reporter asked, Mr. Montgomery, the biggest lesson from this journey? Richard looked at his son, then into the camera. That true leaders aren't those who guide others down the path they believe is right, but those who have the courage to follow when someone shows them a better way. A year on, Freedom Steps expanded. Diana won awards. Lucas, using only a light, cane on occasion, thrived. Richard Montgomery learned that real power isn't in control, but in knowing when to step back and let others lead. True transformation happens when we cross the invisible boundaries that separate us, when a billionaire learns from a waitress, and a father rediscovers his son by following his steps. If stories of human connection and unexpected growth move you, we invite you to discover more at Fable Crypt.